This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. You have joined us for the second ever coaching call on this January 20th freezing cold morning in Houston, Texas. How in the world did that happen? Whenever we get a cold snap like this, I tell my wife we're going to have to move further south, go down to the Rio Grande Valley or something. But delighted that you guys have gotten up. Some of you have gotten out of your PJs and ready to rock and roll this morning. I want to begin by addressing what may be the most fundamental question in real estate sales or in all of business. But in terms of our particular industry, here's the question that I want to address. Why do some agents make it big and some agents don't make it at all? Is that a question that you might find intriguing? Why do some make it big? Some, generate multiple $100,000 incomes every year. Some struggle to put food on the table. What is the difference? Well, let me just say right up front, it's not lack of opportunity. Successful agents come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and backgrounds. It's not lack of knowledge or education, because there's no secrets in this business. Have you figured that out yet? Everything is on YouTube. It's all out there. You can Google any question in real estate regarding marketing, contracts, lead sources. It's all out there. And it's not lack of inventory. That's an excuse that I'm hearing from agents right now, but successful agents succeed in all markets: sellers markets, buyer markets, high interest rates, industry meltdowns. There we go. It doesn't really matter what's going on in the marketplace. It's not lack of inventory or anything else that separates agents, but it is a lack of something. And what I want to do is identify for you what is missing in several different groups of unsuccessful agents. And to do that, I'm going way back. I'm going to share with you a story that Jesus originally told called the parable of the soils. So I'm going to read the story to you, then I'll interpret it for you. So stay with me. Here we go. This is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13. That same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat by a lake. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat in it while all the people sat on the shore. Then he told them many things in parables or stories, saying, and this is it, a farmer went out to sow his seed. And as he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it didn't have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow, but when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and they were withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants, and still other seed fell on good soil where it produced a crop, 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. So there you go. The seed goes out. 4 different groups of people represented by these 4 different types of soil. 3 of them completely burn out. They fail. They're the unsuccessful agents, in sticking with our analogy, while 1 group becomes moderately successful or even extremely successful. So what's the difference? Here's how Jesus interpreted it. He says, when anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, that's the first key, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in their heart. This is the seed sown along the path. That's the first group. The seed falling on rocky ground refers to someone who hears the word and once receives it with joy. They get excited, but since they have no root, they only last a short time. When trouble or persecution comes, they fall away. The seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. Those are the 3 groups of unsuccessful agents in our analogy. But then here's the 4th. The seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word, understands it. This is the one who produces a crop 160, 30-fold. Okay, so what I framed this to begin with, and I see we have a lot of people kind of joining us now, so you missed all the setup for this. The question that I'm attempting to answer is, why do some agents make it big and some agents don't make it at all? And I'm going to answer the question in 3 ways. Unsuccessful agents lack motivation. The first person in the parable that Jesus told just said, I don't understand what's going on, and did absolutely nothing. And I see this happen with new licensees all the time. They get involved in real estate. They think it's going to be so easy. And then they, oh man, I got to get through all this technology, and I got to learn marketing strategies. And I got to use a super key. What even does that mean? And they're so overwhelmed by everything they have to learn. They're paralyzed. They take no action. They don't have that fire in the belly that pushes them to go through the hard part to where they're going to find success. And I sometimes call this the executive mentality. And that's because I have seen this in so many agents who come out of a very successful career, often in the oil and gas industry, where they had staff and secretaries and administrative assistants who did everything for them. They didn't even have to know how to open their email. They had somebody come in and do it for them every morning. So they start a career in real estate sales, and they're shocked that nobody's doing everything for them. They've gotten mentally lazy. They've gotten physically lazy. And so they literally do nothing. They pay their fees for a few months and burn out, and they're gone. They lack the motivation to push through the hard part. Second, unsuccessful agents often lack discipline. That second group that Jesus mentioned in the parable, they get all excited about their new career. Right? It's real estate. I've wanted to do this my whole life. I get to look at pretty houses. I get to cash big checks. I'm going to be a hero in my neighborhood. Everyone's going to love me. You've seen this, perhaps even in the mirror. But then once they get into the daily routine, the slog of what it takes to create leads and convert leads and build relationships and update that database, well, that's not so fun. And perhaps they even get pushback of a very negative nature. In the parable, trouble and persecution comes. And this could be from a spouse who says, what are you doing? You used to have a job with a paycheck every 2 weeks. Now there's no guarantee of any income whatsoever. Or you get a hold of a prospect who's mean to you. Perhaps they call you a name. How did you get my phone number? Why are you calling me? Even if they had registered on your website and provided all that information. But it gets hard, it gets difficult. Not everybody's nice. And the agents who lack the discipline to persevere will give up. This morning when I was driving to work, it was about 6:30 in the morning, and you know how cold it was. It was very dark. And on my street, there was this group of high school students, runners. And I saw a bunch go past me, and then there was another bunch, and there was another bunch. They were kind of stretched out over about a quarter mile. I finally saw the very last person going along. And my first thought was, man, that would be awful to be last out of so many students. But my second thought was, at least he's running. He could have been in bed, but he got up, he paid the price. He may not be the most talented, he may not be the most fit, but doggone it, he's out there in freezing cold weather in his shorts and a t-shirt running, even when he's not the best. And then suddenly I admired him because of his discipline to push through and to do the hard thing, even if he was never going to be the one standing on the stage getting the award or getting the blue ribbon for finishing the race first. And the third group of unsuccessful agents are those who lack focus. If you recall in the parable, and the third group, these people don't lack energy. They jump into the real estate business with great energy and enthusiasm, but they simply can't stay focused on one thing. Sometimes they get distracted by personal issues, kids and laundry and pets. Perhaps it's personal drama. There's an illness in the family, a great aunt who needs someone to care for them. Sometimes they get distracted by very well-intentioned volunteer activities, and they get involved with the Chamber of Commerce or the Kiwanis Club. Sometimes it's real estate activities. They get involved with no offense, WCR, I'm a member, I'm a supporter, I love it, but suddenly they're involved in all these different realtor activities, going to builder open houses and such, but they're not doing the activities that actually grow their business. They're not focusing on lead generation, lead conversion, client servicing, building their database. So they have lots of energy and enthusiasm, but it gets dissipated in all these different directions. Fortunately, there is a fourth group, that which is highly productive. And I want you to see the very simple description of who they are. They were those who heard and understood. In other words, they were listening to the people who knew how to make it work. These are people who have teachers, who have coaches, and they don't try to reinvent the wheel. They don't try to do it on their own. I like to call these people fat people. Fat, faithful, available, teachable, fat. In other words, they're just saying, I understand that you've been successful at this. Show me what you have done. I'll follow in your footsteps and do that until I know how to do something better. Faithful, available, teachable. And that's appropriate for this parable we're using as our springboard because crops grew and they got to eat. The agents who lack motivation, discipline, and focus, we might call them skinny because they don't have enough money to put food on the table. So are you going to be a fat agent or are you going to be a skinny agent? Faithful, available, teachable, hear and understand. Get good teaching and implement what you hear, and don't give up because it's hard, a lack of motivation, or because you get distracted, a lack of focus, or because you get pushback from other people and a lack of discipline to push through. If you'll be fat, faithful, available, teachable, hear and understand, then your success as a real estate agent, and frankly, just about any other area of life, is guaranteed. All right, that's what I wanted to share with you as a springboard this morning to get our juices flowing. And now I just want to open it up. I hope that you have thought about this opportunity for some good questions, some hard questions, maybe even some interesting questions. Let's call on somebody. Let's see. Rochelle, are you still with us?
I am.
All right. What question did you bring today, Rochelle?
Oh, wow, Frank, that was pretty deep. I mean, I think you hit me on the head. And so one of my resolutions for the new year was to get refocused.
Oh,
This is
nice.
only my second year doing this, so that's very helpful to me because I think I'll admit I'm one of those executive mentality people because
Yeah.
I came from a high profile job and I was the boss. And so this
Yep.
is all has been a struggle for me for the past year, but I'm
Yes.
refocusing and listening and learning a lot.
I love it. I love it, Rochelle. Now you're down in the trenches. You're learning how to actually do the work again. And the beautiful thing about this business, Rochelle, is you can grow it to the point that you can step back into an executive position, but there's no way to skip over the trenches aspect of the work of just learning how to do it again.
Yep, and it's actually a fear factor too because I'm the technology piece of it kind of
Yes.
scares me. So I just been sitting in on all the core
KV Core.
trainings and things like that. So I've learned a lot just in the last 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, fantastic. What question did you bring, Rochelle?
The only question I had, you mentioned in your understanding seller documents yesterday that
Yes.
you mentioned something about showing smart and showing time. Should we be using showing smart?
Yes, you should be. And that's because showing time is a fee-based service. If you post your listings there, you're going to pay for it. I think it's about $40 a listing. In the past, I paid for that, but since I'm no longer your broker, I'm not doing that and you're on your own. But I wanted to move away from it anyway because showing time is now owned by Zillow, which can
Hmm.
be a great real estate partner, but it can also be the enemy. As we know, Zillow does not operate with the best interests of real estate agents in mind. So I personally don't want to give them any of my money. HAR feels exactly the same way. And as soon as Zillow purchased Showing Time, they went to work to create an alternative to Showing Time, and that is Showing Smart. And it is now fully operational. It's available to you on your HAR dashboard. I've used it for showings as a buyer's agent several times, and I've found it to be really simple. I've not used it as a listing agent yet, but perhaps if someone else has, they can share that experience.
Okay, great.
All right. Thanks, Rochelle. Great question. Right. We're not going to allow much dead air. I'm going to call you out if nobody has a question. All right, Melanie Brown, what's on your mind today? Think of your hardest question. Throw something out for us.
I don't have anything right now.
Okay, all right, I'm going to ask the group a few questions. I believe that what will build efficiency into your business is to work from a consistent economic model, an operational model. And it begins with marketing, identifying your unique contribution to the real estate public. What do you do that separates you from everybody else? And then based upon that, you create your own brand. Then you begin to market that and you present yourself to the market with something unique to offer. That goes into lead generation, which is followed by lead conversion. Now you've got clients, so it goes into client servicing. Once you have a client, you're under contract, you've got to get all the way to closing. So now we have the administrative aspect of the operational model. Once you get past closing, we're into servicing for life, creating customers for life. So marketing, lead generation, lead conversion, client servicing, contract to close management, and then post-closing service. That's the operational model that I have followed in my sales business. Which of those aspects of the operational model do you struggle with the most? Identifying your brand, generating leads, servicing clients, staying in touch for the long term. Where do you struggle most?
For me,
Michelle
just getting
Carruthers.
started.
Okay, let's go with Melanie. I think I saw her light up first, and then Michelle will come right back to you. Melanie?
Yeah, I guess it's the generating leads or just getting started, trying to understand. I mean, I feel like the rest of it will come, like the contracts and all that, but it's the getting started, the generating leads, the marketing. I feel like,
So, Melanie, how long have you lived in the Houston area?
basically all my life.
Okay, very good. And you have a database available to you in KV Core. How many contacts have you put into KV Core?
I think like 90.
Okay, great. So I would set a minimum target of 100, and you're just almost there. You're almost right at not the finish line, but at least the initial threshold line. Melanie, in my experience, 100 local families will generate $100,000 in commission income for you every single year. You've done, honestly, the hardest part, getting their contact information into your database, but now you've got to begin reaching out to them. Those are the people most likely to do business with you. So I would certainly make an initial phone call to every one of them to let them know that you've launched a full-time professional real estate sales career and you'd love to help them with their real estate needs. Just having that simple phone call is going to get you in the game, because we know out of 100 families, 15 of them are going to move this year. All 100 of them know 5 other families that are going to move this year. So make that initial call. That's a tiny baby step. But call all 90 current contacts, get 10 more, call those 100 families, and you're going to be in the game very quickly. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Michelle, you're up next, and then we'll get to you, Sonu.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess it's the marketing and the continual dripping and so forth, especially with the last 2 years. A lot of us have been so deep in the trenches, just servicing clients and trying to, continue that client for life portion, that I haven't had time to do any of the marketing or anything. So, I mean, the past month or so, I've really put my head down and putting time into it, and the KV Core, really spending some time on it. But it's hard. Any tips on how to keep that marketing stuff going?
Yes.
As we end up getting deep into the trenches?
Yes, I absolutely have some suggestions along that line. And if you couldn't hear Michelle clearly, she's been so busy, actively involved with buyers and sellers the last couple of years. She's not had time to invest in staying in touch with past clients or anybody in her database. So how do you do that while you're busy in the trenches actively servicing? And the answer is you lean on third-party vendors. When I was actively selling, I discovered that the weak link in my marketing effort was me. If anything that I did that depended on my personal efforts was going to be the weak link, because I simply wasn't available to do it. So you want to automate as much as possible. And that means send out a monthly postcard, but use a third-party vendor, select your campaigns in advance so they just go out automatically. You don't have to do anything. It's got your photo, your contact information, your marketing message to them. Once you set, you can forget about it. Similarly with KV Core, and I realize you probably haven't even had the time to go in and set it all up, but once you get all your contacts in, it's got so many automated stay in touch features that your clients will find value in. They won't see this as spam because it's personal to them. Birthday greetings, home anniversary greetings, a monthly report on the current market value of their home. Absolutely, they're going to see value in that. A monthly market report on the value of homes in their area, their zip code or their city. Obviously, they're going to see value in that. And if you just have a monthly postcard going out, and then these automated features within KV Core, you're going to be touching them 30 to 40 times a year automatically, and you don't even have to be concerned about it. Now, I do recommend that you go beyond that. You know, a couple times a year, have a client appreciation event, maybe spring and fall. And that gives you a chance to reach out to everybody and get personally reconnected to them again. Even if they don't attend your event, they're like, well, that Michelle, she's so sweet. We haven't seen her in 5 years, and she invited us to a picnic at the park. We're going to use her, of course, if we ever have a real estate need. So, and those 2 annual client appreciation events will spark you to reach out by phone. So that kind of completes. You've got the postcards going, you've got the emails and text messages through KV Core. You make a personal phone call twice a year, and then have the face-to-face client appreciation events. Michelle, you're going to have those clients for life. You're going to get the repeat business. You're going to get the referral business. But again, most of it's automated. With the technology and the postcard vendor, all you have to do, just call through your database twice a year and invite them to a special event. Does that make sense, Michelle?
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Okay, all right. You're very welcome. Appreciate the question. Sonu, what's on your mind this morning? Okay, I'll call you R&D.
Okay, I'm
That's
sorry.
That's okay. See?
That I was responding to. No,
Yeah.
my concern, I think the thing that I'm having challenge with is because I'm new here, right? So I think my strengths are like networking. I'm very good at talking to people and all. My weaknesses are, again, the same thing that I guess you had, the personal, having to send the postcards and all of that. But another concern that I have is, like, because I'm new over here, I don't know the area that much, right? So sometimes I feel like I lack in confidence, because I'm not familiar with the area. I mean, I'm slowly getting to know the area. I drive around, try to figure out what like road leads to what. But how do you deal with that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very real issue, because if you can't speak with confidence about values and benefits of different areas and neighborhoods and school districts, you're not going to be reaching out offering your services. It is a lack of confidence which causes agents not to take action. So when you sense a lack of confidence in any area of your business, you absolutely must address it. So when it comes to knowing inventory, you can be an area inventory expert, neighborhood expert in about 6 months if you'll very consistently chip away at it. And I would focus on an area about a 15-mile radius or so from your home. And obviously we may get leads in Katy or Pearland that take us outside that area, but we don't claim to be experts there. But you should be an expert certainly within 15 miles of your home. So what I would do is get a map. When I first came to the Woodlands and began selling real estate, I got a map of the Woodlands, and I literally sat down and memorized, okay, there's Alden Bridge and there's the boundaries, and there's Creekside Forest and Grogan's Mill. And I just literally learned them, and I had my family quiz me, where is the Randalls located? Which Woodlands village is it in? So I did map study first to just kind of get the lay of the land. But then I would schedule preview showings in each of those areas. So let's say that in 15-mile radius of your home that you identified 30 neighborhoods that you wanted to have some familiarity with, I would schedule a couple showings every week in one of those neighborhoods. You don't have to have a buyer. You can go into Showing Smart or Showing Time, whatever they're using to manage the showings, and schedule what's called a preview, where you're just going in. Typically, you have a buyer who's not here and you're seeing if it's a match for them. But in this case, it would just be previewing for your own benefit to become familiar with the inventory. And what you'll discover is that in different neighborhoods, they typically have similar builders have 3 or 4 builders in every neighborhood, but they'll have similar finish levels. Some will have, a single layer of crown molding. Some will have triple crown molding. Some will have granite countertops. Some will have quartzite, which is about the highest level countertop material. And you'll get a feel for that over time. Take good notes. And then that way, when a buyer prospect asks you, again, it's not going to happen overnight, but in about 6 months, doing 2 or 3 preview showings a month, you're absolutely going to have the confidence and the knowledge that you need to offer your services.
So preview showing, I'm sorry, preview showing meaning?
Yeah,
like
a preview showing just means you don't have a client to go with you, but you're going to go look at the property by yourself.
Okay, so just exploring the area.
Yes, absolutely. Go look at the actual houses and what they're selling for, so you get a sense of the values and the corresponding amenities. You may go to one neighborhood and discover they have an incredible park with a waterfall. Okay, that's Wimbledon Falls down here south on Kirkendall. The first time I went in there, it made a memory for me. And then when I had a client express an interest in that neighborhood, I was like, oh my goodness, they have this incredible waterfall right at the entrance to the community. In fact, I've taken my daughter over there and we've taken photographs before. It's such a lovely community. You'll develop a knowledge of the unique characteristics of these neighborhoods that will let you speak about them with confidence.
Thank you. And another thing is that I struggle with 2 things, right? Okay, so that's one thing I struggled with, and you just answered that question. My other thing is having to choose between like exploring the area or actually setting up like this online, the database and learning all of that. So I feel like I need to be out and about, like learning the area and talking to people, but I'm like sitting in front of the computer. So I get like, I'm just like, what do I focus on?
Yes, okay. So the answer is all of the above. You can't just get pigeonholed. You can't just go look at houses and neighborhoods, and you can't just sit at a computer building your database. And I don't know that anybody would want to do one of those things all the time. You are going to be overwhelmed your first 6 months doing this full time. There's no way to avoid that. You're going to work long hours. You're going to be doing 16 different things, but it's part of the process. And you've got to do them all. You've got to learn the technology. You've got to build your database. You've got to become familiar with the inventory. You got to learn how to negotiate the best deal for your clients. And you're going to feel very inadequate during this time, because you're going to presume that everybody else knows more than you, and you don't feel equipped for the job. But just understand that everybody else has gone through that, and it's a necessary part of the process. And what you will discover, I promise this, Sonu, after about 6 months of really focused effort on all the aspects of our business, one morning you will wake up and you'll be like, doggone it, I think I got it. I think I understand this business. I don't know everything, but I feel like I want to go take that listing. I want to have that buyer conversation. I'm eager to get the people in my car and go show them houses, because I feel like I've got something to offer. I have the knowledge and the skills that they need to successfully complete this transaction. So don't be hard on yourself in the first 6 months. Work hard, wear yourself out. Absolutely pay the price, but just understand that it's part of a necessary process, and it will get better.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, our floor is open. Jorge,
I have a question, Frank. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear.
Good morning, everybody. So, what do you recommend as a new agent? earlier you were talking about the weaknesses and strengths to identify them.
Yes.
Would you recommend, and how expensive would it be to use a transition coordinator? I'm sorry, a
Transaction coordinator?
Transaction coordinator, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let's say to understand more the system and how everything works.
Yes. So I think as your business grows, a transaction coordinator is indispensable because they can take administrative tasks off your plate for you to focus on higher dollar productive activities, getting face to face with buyer and sellers. However, I do not believe that is a wise decision when you're launching your career. And I'm not just talking about financially. It is an expense that you probably don't need to incur. But my deepest conviction is that you need the knowledge of how the transaction is managed and should be managed. You need to understand sky slope. You need to understand how to put listings into Showing Smart. You need to understand what documents are required at different points in the transaction. And I'm afraid if you lean on a transaction coordinator too early in your career, that will be a critical area of your development that's never properly developed. So once you do it, maybe you've gone through 10 or 12 transactions and you feel like you can do this in your sleep and you're really wanting to leverage your time to higher dollar productive activities, that would be the time to get a transaction coordinator. But if you hire before you have personally mastered it, if something goes wrong, you won't even know what's gone wrong, much less how to fix it. But if you know how it's supposed to be done and something goes wrong, you'll know if your transaction coordinator is doing their job or not, or if they're cutting corners or not, or if they're neglecting your transactions for somebody else's. But you have to develop your own expertise first before you hand it off. And this is why that first 6 months is so grueling. You're learning everything at the same time, but it is a necessary price to pay. That's my opinion.
Okay, I got it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Frank,
Yes. Hi, Trina.
how are you? Hi,
We're
everybody.
doing
Okay, so I have a quick question. You mentioned those automatic postcard vendors, and I'm more like Michelle, where I get kind of wrapped up in the servicing. And even
Yes.
though I do the marketing, I just get it done rather than price check or, I was just curious, what were some of those vendors, those automatic postcard vendors that you used and that you
Yes.
produced a good quality product and was reasonable?
Absolutely. So I can recommend two by name. One would be Sendsations.com, S-E-N-D, Sendsations.com. They are probably the biggest provider in the industry. And Letha just jumped in with Send Out Cards. They're also excellent. Those are more personalized cards, but they're really, really high quality. Send Out Cards. And if you do, Letha, are you a provider? Can they name you as their source and you get some credit for that? Okay, we'll wait for Letha to respond. And then I would also say Quantum Digital. Okay, Letha says no, but Stephanie is. So Stephanie Garrett. So if you go to Send Out Cards and it gives you an opportunity to put in who referred you or recommended you, put in Stephanie Garrett's name. But Sensations is who I primarily use because they have thousands of campaigns, and you can choose a monthly campaign or an every other month campaign, which might be the best solution when you're just getting launched. But they have every topic you can imagine. Humorous cards, inspirational cards, motivational quotes, recipes. And I've heard people make fun of agents who send out recipes, like, are you presenting yourself as the neighborhood chef or the neighborhood real estate expert? And I understand that. It is a funny joke, but I sent out recipe cards and I focused on the desserts and it served me well. And here's why. Here's my thinking. I know that when a seller gets a postcard in the mail, They're sorting through their mail and they're specifically looking for what they can throw away. And they'll see your postcard. They don't have an immediate real estate need. They're going to throw it right in the trash. But I'm hoping to make an impression in those 2 or 3 seconds while it's in their hands. And if it's a big luscious piece of chocolate cake or cherry pie, they're at least going to slow down on the way to the trash can. And in that moment, they're going to see my face, they're going to see my contact information. And if Thanksgiving's coming up, they may take that recipe card and stick it in a drawer or stick it on the fridge. So I'm a real estate professional and I have a real estate message on that card. In fact, on the back side of the Sensations card, you can completely customize it with your marketing plan, your value to buyers or sellers, a message that I've got 45 families actively looking for homes in this neighborhood, whatever. So I would say choose one of those campaigns that will at least slow people down before they throw it away. And
Frank, can I add something?
Yes, please.
So the way Stephanie, I have considered signing up for the send out cards probably 100 times, and I really need to do it. But I agree with Frank that the recipes are not as corny as everybody makes them out to be. I think people make fun of them because they wish they were doing them. But the way my sister uses the send out cards, I think is brilliant. She will see somebody's big event on Facebook, whether it's a child graduating, somebody playing baseball, a pet. She will snatch that picture off of their Facebook, put it on the front of a send out card, write a cute message inside, and then it's printed and mailed directly from send out card. And I want to say it costs less than $1.
Yeah, it does.
To do that. It may cost maybe a little bit more, but I think it's less than $1 to have it printed and mailed. And I have known people who have taken those cards and framed them or sat them on their credenza behind their desk. I mean, I literally saw one. She took an attorney's cat, a cat that's in the lady's office all the time, put it on the front of a card and titled it Director of First Impressions, because when you walk in, you see the cat. Now, when you walk into that woman's office, there's that card sitting right there behind the receptionist.
Yes.
It's brilliant. It is a piece of marketing material they likely will not throw away. And I have seen this person, when somebody walks in and comments on the card, actually pick it up and hand it to them and show it to them and tell them who sent it to her. It's brilliant. So I just wanted to share how she uses that. It is very personalized because you've got to grab a picture and personalize it and spend a minute or two actually doing it. But I think the way she does it is absolutely brilliant. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Letha. And I am one of those. Every time I get something, one of those send out cards from Stephanie, it goes on my wall. You can see I've got stuff taped up on my glass board behind me. Every time I get a send out card, it's so special, it's so personal, I stick it up there. So I do recommend that. But that is not what prompted this original discussion, because that is something that takes some effort on your part. Not a lot of effort, but you have to individualize and personalize. There's a time and a place for that. These postcard campaigns, you don't have to personalize or customize. You set it up one time and it'll go out to 400 people every month on autopilot. You won't even know about it until they call you and say, hey, we were talking about listing our house today. We opened the mail and there's your postcard. We took it as a sign from God. And of course, you're going to say, well, that's exactly what it was. I'll be over at 6 o'clock. So send out cards is for real personalized, customized, high value messages. Sensations, Quantum Digital, and the others is for your mass marketing efforts. And I saw something, let me just check the comments real quick. Jeremy says, if sending out mailers and envelopes with a letter specific to my neighborhood, do you recommend using the or current resident add-on? Seems like people are more likely to toss it in the trash, but my neighborhood has a significant amount of renters. Yeah, I think I would add that in there, or current residents. Your question says, though, mailers in envelopes, and I'm not a big fan of anything that goes in an envelope. And I realize there are some real estate gurus Brian Buffini, for one, who's one of my heroes, who has a little newsletter that he has the agents stick in an envelope and mail. I think that's more likely to be thrown in the trash can without creating any impact whatsoever. A postcard is also going to go in the trash can, but they get your message before they throw it away because it's right there on the outside and they can't mistake it. So there may be an occasion when it's appropriate to send something in an envelope. Perhaps you're doing a detailed neighborhood market report or a confidential CMA showing them their home's current value. But for mass mailings, I really, really like the postcards. Okay, who else? We've got just a few minutes left. Probably somebody has a question they've not jumped in with yet. Okay, then. I am going to wrap things up with a recommendation for you, and I'm going to try to do this pretty consistently. A book recommendation. And this week's book recommendation is Purple Cow by Seth Godin. Some of you have probably read this book because it's been out for a number of years. I put my name in the front of it. August 2010 is when I first got this book. I absolutely love it. And the whole basis, it's a marketing book. Seth Godin, I believe it, and this is not just my opinion, many people will tell you is the most brilliant marketing expert in America today, Seth Godin. This book is really what put him on the map. And his thesis is if you're driving down the road and you look out and you see a herd of cows, you're going to keep on driving without giving it a second thought. But if one of those cows was purple, you're going to pull off the side of the road and start taking pictures and probably go Facebook Live because it's so unusual. It captured your attention and your imagination. And so in your marketing, what Seth says, you need to be the purple cow. You need to be so different, so unique, so special that people cannot ignore you. And I'll just give you an example. Many agents, when trying to come up with a logo for their marketing or a slogan, they'll say something like integrity, experience, knowledge, something like that. That'll be their logo. Well, guess what? That sounds like every other agent in the marketplace. Everybody has integrity and honesty and knowledge. At least we want to portray that. What could you say about yourself that's different, that causes people not to just block out your message as part of the background noise, but causes them to pull the car over and get the camera out and take a picture? What is absolutely unique about you? What is different about you? And some agents have tried to do this in some kind of hokey ways. An agent I knew many decades ago now drove this like 1942 Packard, and all of his marketing, featured his car in his marketing. Some agents have done it with their pets. They'll have their dog or whatever. That's a little bit different, but I don't know that it's a difference. It's not necessarily a benefit. I think our marketing message has to differentiate us, has to be the purple cow, but it has to be done so in a way that conveys value to the end user, to the consumer. So think about a message that would just be powerful, sending to buyers and sellers. And I'm just going to throw out a couple, and some they're just going to be ridiculous. This is kind of in the spirit of brainstorming. But how about this? Every home sold in 30 days or less. Wow. Can you imagine? Every home sold in 30 days or less. Do you think people are going to stop and listen to that message? Or how about this? I'll sell your home in 30 days, or I'll buy it myself. How about that? Is that going to get somebody's attention? It's different. It's the purple cow, but it's a message designed to benefit the hearer. It's not just different for different sake. It's not just a funky peacock hat that is, suddenly your motto, your slogan, your image. it's something that benefits. So think about that. And I would love to hear your comments when we come back online next week, next Thursday at 9 o'clock. If you've come up with something that is a purple cow that you could use. Remember the operational model that I talked about? It starts with identifying your unique contribution to the buying and selling public. What is it that you are doing that's different than everybody else? Think about that. Focus on that. And it could be related to a specific niche. Maybe you want to focus on first responders, police officers, firefighters, and do something special for them. Just let your mind go, brainstorm on that. And I would love to know what you come up with next week, okay? All right, well, I'm gonna wrap it for today. I appreciate you sharing the majority of this 9 o'clock hour with me, and I'm available to help you anytime I can. So if you have any questions or if I can help in any way, just let me know. All right, take care, God bless.
Thank you.
Thanks so
My
much.
pleasure. Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks.